you have this new deal you've struck, this partnership with Robinhood. And I'm wondering, you're somebody that already works with so many institutions. What does this do to really add to your base of retail customers?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. We announced a broad partnership with Robinhood here today at Converge, our first platform ecosystem conference. We've got thousands of people here in San Francisco, which we're pretty excited about. And this morning, on stage, Robinhood CTO, talked about this. And what I can say is, Robinhood is an amazing retail investor platform. They have 23 million users. It really is sort of represents the kind of mainstream user participating in this more democratized financial system. And what we've done with Robinhood is a few things. I think the first is just making USDC one of the digital currencies that people can trade on Robinhood. They started with some of the kind of traditional popular cryptocurrencies, but USDC has just become such a critical part of anyone that's operating in the digital asset space, whether you're using exchanges, wallets, DeFi. And so just having that built into Robinhood and their 23 million users is really powerful. The second thing really was, they've launched a new wallet, a Web3 wallet, and they're really trying to bring that huge user base they have into Web3. And making frictionless, fast, and easy payments is a core part of what people want to be able to do in Web3, and USDC is a core part of that value proposition and built in in that wallet.
Jeremy, as you think about how core USDC is and the stablecoin ecosystem is when it comes to the linkage between the traditional financial system and the crypto world, let's take a quick listen to hear of what Fed Chair Jerome Powell had to say, given that there's so much regulatory attention. Take a listen to this soundbite.
There's a real need for more appropriate regulation so that as DeFi expands and starts to touch more and more retail customers and that sort of thing, so that appropriate regulation is in place.
Now, I'm really curious here, who do you think is going to take the biggest lead here in really stepping in and setting the groundwork for the U.S., and how soon do you expect it?
Well, I mean, I think this is a critical issue, and I think there's bipartisan support for this idea that payment stablecoins such as USDC are a critical piece of how the dollar is going to compete on the internet. And the focus of policymakers, regulators like the Fed and Treasury and others is we need to have a clear set of statutes for dollar stablecoins in the United States, both to manage the risks, but also to make it clear that this is a new model for using dollars on the internet. And I think that with that is going to come tremendous legitimacy for not just stablecoins, but for the advancement of digital assets as a core part of the financial system.
Core part of the financial system. And if you think about what's happening in China and hundreds of millions of accounts when it comes to the digital yuan already, very early to really get behind a central bank digital currency. Do you think the U.S. is falling behind?
We like to say that the U.S. is already winning the digital currency space race. Dollar digital currencies are the most widely used digital currencies on the internet today, which says something, which is the preference for the dollar, the power of the open innovation of blockchains, the power of private sector innovation in the space. That's already created a leadership position for the dollar and for the United States. Now what the United States needs to do is codify that and solidify that so that these digital currency dollars like USDC and others that many other firms will likely issue can become the foundation for how financial products and services and payments and commerce are going to work on the internet. And so really, this is an opportunity for the U.S. to seize that existing leadership position and strengthen it.
Well, we're also coming at this conversation at a time of just tremendous strength in the dollar. And if you look at something that Sam Bankman-Fried tweeted just earlier this week, boy, would the world be thinking differently about crypto price moves if they measured it versus world currency baskets instead of just U.S. dollars. I'm wondering how you interpret that and what that means for currencies around the world in relation to cryptocurrency.
I mean, look, it's a fascinating time from a macro perspective. I'm going to be talking in a few minutes here at Converge with Larry Summers about that macro outlook and about the role of the dollar and what role the dollar is playing, not just in currency markets today, but the role that the dollar is going to play on the internet. I think right now it's a pretty pivotal moment, and I think the structure of the international monetary system is at stake. And there's a new kind of competition that's happening in currencies. And I think, payment stablecoins and this form of digital currency aligns with these kind of changing macro dynamics.
Well,
and so I think these play together.
Give us some more specificity here. What does the future look like in a world where currencies have been kind of all over the place more recently? A lot of people really worry about the value of what they're holding. So what role very specifically does a stablecoin play, especially outside of the US?
We've seen an incredible amount of adoption of dollar digital currencies like USDC all around the world. The demand for being able to transact in the dollar and using it as a medium of exchange on the internet is very high. I think that says a lot about the strength of the dollar as an international currency. And I think the growth of these networks, the growth of these blockchain networks, the proliferation of more and more of these digital wallets like Robinhood or Coinbase or so many other products that are out there are going to make these kinds of fiat digital currencies even more popular in the world. And I think that's it's a tremendous opportunity for the United States.
Now, a question for you just about Circle itself. Do you have any fundraising plans? What's next for you guys as you grow, and what's the status of going public?
Yeah, so Circle's in a really strong financial position. We've been growing pretty rapidly over the past couple of years. You can see that in sort of the growth in USDC. The company is more than doubling in size this year, and we're in the best financial position that we've really ever been in. We are in a registration process with the SEC to become a public company, and we continue to go through that process of becoming qualified to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and hopefully we'll get there in the near future.
What's the competitive landscape here? Do you think that USDC will exceed USDT very soon? Tether in market cap. Why do you think that hasn't happened yet? And when will it happen, do you think?
Yeah, I don't like to make, time frame predictions or things like that. I think we've always just been very heads down, focused on building something with a lot of trust and transparency, doing it in a regulated environment, partnering with great institutions, with great companies to continue to build this out, working with the developer community to grow this. And I think if we continue to do that, the rest of the work kind of gets done. And so we're in the very early stages of the adoption of dollar stablecoins and technology like this. We think the total addressable market for this kind of technology is M2 money, which is in the tens of trillions of dollars globally. And so it's super early stage. We're just focused on just trying to build infrastructure that works for developers, businesses, people, users all around the world, and we'll just keep trying to improve that.